Alright guys, chapter 26 is from Malik's perspective. I'm still kind of hopeful that they're going to find Hector, but I don't know. Okay, chapter 26, Malik Bruder. I always thought Serenity was the lamest backwater on the face of the earth. Now, I know that compared with what's around Serenity, the town itself is New York or Paris or Tokyo or one of those huge cities you read about. What's around Serenity is basically nothing. I know this because we walk through every lousy inch of it. It's dirt and trees and sagebrush that grabs at your feet and ankles. It's boulders and crags that have to be scrambled over, squeezed between. It's so quiet that the only sound besides your own groaning and cursing is the scampering of lizards or the clicking of scorpions. Poor Hector would have probably wet himself, but come to think of it, he'd be too dehydrated like the rest of us. It would be hard enough to keep going under any circumstances, but after what we've just been through, it's torture in the extreme. We walk all night, blundering through darkness until the pain of our exhaustion equals the pain of the cuts and bruises that cover 99% of our bodies. I'd probably be carrying Hector by now. Under the circumstances, I'd be happy to do it. He doesn't weigh very much. Correction, he didn't. Here's what haunts me. If we didn't have to rush our plan in order to get me out of Happy Valley before weeding day, could we have come up with a better way to do it that didn't get Hector killed? If I didn't cheat on tests and gorge myself on cookies and cupcakes and get myself classified toxic, if I wasn't such a big jerk, would Hector still be alive? That's a lot more weight to carry than one skinny kid. The girls are tougher than I thought. I figured they'd be flat on their faces at this point, but they're hanging in there. I guess when it's your only chance to have a life, you keep putting one foot in front of the other regardless of how much it hurts. That goes double when you're the one on full weeding alert. I don't feel very lucky, but I understand I am. If we didn't get out when we did, who knows what would have happened to me. I don't know how far we've come, but we can't see or hear the helicopter anymore. Maybe it landed in the valley, or maybe the Purples took it back to base to wait for first light. I'm hoping that we've walked clear out of its range. I've got the blisters on my feet to prove it. Our navigation can be summed up in one word: south. We think we're heading in the right direction, but it's easy to get turned around when you're traveling over rough terrain. It feels like we've been on the move for about 6 months when at last the disk of the sun eases its way over the horizon and we're heading straight for it. We're going east! Wells, Tori, that's the only word of complaint. We make our course correction, but we're too tired for much more grumbling. We're thirsty and we're hungry. When the sun climbs, it begins to pound down on us. You know, when they picked a place for this secret clone farm, they really scored. We've been walking for like 15 hours and we haven't seen a single person, not even a house or a road or a power line. Be grateful, Eli grunts. We could be seeing lots of people in purple suits. I'm sweating like crazy, but that's a sign that so far I'm still okay. I heard once that it's when you stop sweating that you know the dehydration is getting really bad. It is so hot, Tori exclaims. No hotter than Happy Valley, I point out. Yeah, but there you're never far from air conditioning or a pool, Amber complains. I wish I had my pool right now. I'd drink it, chlorine and all. I give your parents credit for one thing, I offer. They kept us pampered while we were under their microscope. I'll take this over all the toys and comforts, Eli says through gritted teeth. At least I'm nobody's lab rat. I'm down with that, but a nervous thought has begun to nag at me. We haven't seen anything in almost an entire day. People die from being stranded in places like this without food or water. When do we reach the point where being free is less important than not dying? I know the others are thinking it too, although nobody says it aloud. We're all dragging. Sunburn stings our faces and the backs of our necks. We're not going to get a second wind without at least water. We pass a couple of dried up ponds and something that might have once been a creek bed, but that's about it. I guess we picked the wrong time of year for a hike. There isn't so much as a green weed to chew for its moisture. With the sun still high and blazing, Amber hits the dirt. She doesn't even make a sound. She just wafts to the ground like a slip of paper floating down on an air current. We've got to stop, Tori pleads through the cracked lips. Find some shade and lie down low under it. Lie down low until it's not so hot. We can't afford the time, Eli argues. When the purple people eaters come after us, we have to be long gone. Tori's on her knees. Amber, wake up. Amber is annoyed. I am up. I didn't pass out. I tripped. We look down and that's when we see it. 2 steel rails on a bed of wooden ties, half buried in dust and weeds, the train tracks. We wait forever, but at least we're not walking anymore. I'm pretty sure the track is still in regular use because the top of the rail is shiny. Still, it's a long, nervous vigil. And the thirst, that's with us every second now. It's like a living thing inside me, a parched sand creature expanding in size and royally ticked off. I pass the time picturing a bottle of water. Seriously, that's 4 hours of my life doing nothing but that. We notice the vibration first. It's going on for several minutes before we actually hear the train. At last, just as dusk is beginning to settle in, the locomotive appears on the horizon coming from the west out of the sunset. Why is it going so slow? It's a freight train, Eli tells her. Don't complain, we're going to have to jump on it. Why can't we just flag it down, I ask. Because then we'd have to explain who we are and what we're doing. If they start calling around to police stations asking about runaway kids, the Purples might find out about it. We retreat from the track and crouch in the bush, sizing up the task ahead of us. One piece of good news, the train is pulling a zillion cars, so we're going to have a very wide selection. We flatten ourselves to the ground as the engines pass. Once those are out of sight, we approach the track and look for a way in. The liquid tankers are sealed, and the grain hoppers are only accessible from the top. I point to a flat car stacked with lumber. One of those? Tori shakes her head. No good. The Purple People Eaters could spot us from their helicopter. And then a boxcar comes lumbering along. Its sliding door open wide. We can see some cargo piled inside, but there's plenty of room. We look at each other and we all nod around. That's the one. The train may be slow, and when it comes to boarding a moving boxcar, slow is a relative term. We're weak, exhausted, and dehydrated thanks to 24 hours wandering in the wilderness. There's a long metal step the length of the door opening. Eli hops up on it, but the motion of the train throws him off balance, and he has to jump down again. Amber gets one wobbly foot on before tumbling back in the dirt. Tori bypasses the step altogether and hurls herself inside. She makes it, but not without whacking one knee on her way in. Now she's pulling away, and the three of us are running beside the track to keep up with her. Come on, she wails. I see where she's coming from. The thought of being the only one aboard must be almost as scary as missing the train. Amber gets there first. Tori reaches out and hauls her aboard. Eli clamps his hands on the side of the door frame and tries to swing himself inside, but he doesn't have the guts to let go. So he's hanging there at a weird angle, blocking the opening, legs kicking. Get inside, stupid, I pant, running along beside the tracks. I can't. It's like a scene from a comedy. It would probably be hilarious if our whole lives didn't depend on getting in there. I give Eli's dangling butt a gigantic push, and he goes flying into the car. My toe strikes the edge of a railroad tie, and I start to stumble. I know in my heart if I fall down, I'll never catch up with them. My stomach twists at the ideas of being left behind. At the last second, I manage to right myself, hop, skip, and fling my entire body in through the opening. Oof! I hit the floor and roll. I have an awful thought. What if I keep rolling clear out the door on the other side? Luckily, though, I smack into a heavy pallet of cargo. Something inside gurgles. I put my fist to the side of the nearest carton and draw out a bottle of blue liquid. I stare at the label. I gawk. Gatorade. For the first time in what seems like forever, I smile, and I show it to the others. Anybody thirsty? All right, guys, we have one more chapter.